always, NSSDL Podcast, and we have our very first guest, and we are excited. Are we not, guys? Excited to have our first guest on the podcast. We are going to ask some very nice questions, very fair questions, and get a lot of good stuff out of our guest, Phil, here. So, really excited about that. So, welcome back. Really enjoy it. Cheers, everyone. Okay, so cheers. Phil's not a beer drinker. He drinks whiskey. So, for Phil, I'm not a whiskey drinker at all, but here we go.
I appreciate you playing ball.
That's probably the last drink of that you'll see me drink. All right. Moving to beer.
But what whiskey are we all drinking, boys? Let's be
actually,
snobby.
Four Roses.
Okay.
I've got Angel's Envy Rye.
Yes.
I like rye.
Yeah.
Love Angel's Envy. Good
I
bottle.
have 10-year Lafroig. Very peaty Scotch.
And I've got a very obscure one. I got Crown Royal. Crown Royal.
I think it's Crown Royale, I believe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Royale
Phil.
with
Thanks you.
cheese.
Royale.
With cheese. Royale
Gotcha.
with
Royale. Okay. I think I just might have the Royal one. I don't think I have that special variety.
Oh,
cheese.
okay.
You say what one more time.
Hey, is anything going on right now? Did anything start here in like a minute ago, Dion?
We
at all? I'm
are
just curious.
official. Oh, Tony is in the draft, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, God.
He
Green light
is
on.
in the draft. Oh
Reggie
boy.
Bush incoming.
He is waiting.
Are we ready? It is officially draft day.
Well, we better be ready.
It's up to you
Well, I
guys.
mean,
For some.
I'm just trying to hype it up a little bit.
Tony was in and now he's out.
And he's gone because.
And he's gone.
So are we ready?
Fall out
1,
lasted.
2, 3. We have officially started
the draft.
All right.
Leapton 88 is on. the
Oh,
clock.
and he's back in the draft.
Oh, there he is.
All right.
Is he gonna throw us for a loop?
He probably will. Yeah.
Oh, it took no time at all.
Just
There it is.
No
Wow.
time at all.
Bijan Robinson,
All right.
folks.
What
Number one
we
pick.
all
on the clock.
thought.
We
I
did
am
not
on the
expect.
clock.
We didn't
Bijan.
expect Bijan, did we?
No,
I think that was the
Yeah.
consensus that Adam Schefter had reported.
Yes. Right. That's what I'd heard as well.
Tony loves no man as much as he loves Bijan Robinson.
I think that's
Really.
100% true.
All right. Well, we have our first pick, folks.
He
So
is
we'll,
already in the chat bragging about it.
Of course he is.
I feel like we need.
Bijan.
Very
I
happy.
feel like we need live thoughts going through Dion's head about his pick.
I think it's a very easy pick.
Yeah.
For me, it's Jamar Chase was
Number one.
what I had. I'm
Yep.
ecstatic to get him because Joe Burrow is going to have to throw for like 50 touchdowns for them to have a chance this year. Their defense is absolutely terrible.
He
Again,
might do
yeah.
that. He might surprise you.
It might happen.
And Derek Norby is also a Vikings fan, so I totally expect JJ to go off the board here in the next
12
20
hours.
seconds.
And that's why I traded
Leon?
my pick, because the only person I wanted this high was Justin Jefferson, and 4 is not high enough to make that happen.
Yep.
There it
And
is.
there it is.
There it is.
There it
And
is.
Dion's back on the clock.
Oh my goodness, we are starting off this podcast just rolling. Do we
This
want
went
to talk
from the Phil podcast to the
To-
draft podcast
to
very
the draft
quickly.
podcast?
Did, yes.
Very
Fine.
quickly.
That's fine.
Now, we'll let Dion do his pick here, and then we can move on. How's that? I mean, if he wants to make it.
That's fine.
Does Dion go wide receiver?
It is 100% a given fact that I
Yes.
am taking 2 young stud wide receivers.
Solid.
Yeah.
Top 4 was as expected.
Yep.
And now we
As
have a couple
expected.
names to put
Now
on our trade discussion when we get
we
to
get
it.
interesting.
All right.
And
now
that
what?
is
So-
Heath, correct?
Digital,
Heath
yes.
is-
Digital Duffer is Heath.
Nope.
Do we have any
No.
expectations?
Is it? Oh, he's Digital Duffer is Heath. I did not know that.
Yes.
My bad.
Change his name.
He
We'll
did.
We'll see if we make it past the 5th pick in this podcast.
Yeah, we probably.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think
We'll
we
see
will.
these
We'll
updates.
give us time to actually discuss.
Talk
All right.
about things, right? All right. So, what do we got for Phil today?
Many things.
But
Yes.
let's open the floor to Phil here. Let's
Yeah.
hear Phil explain himself to the league real quick. Who is Phil?
Who is Phil? Yeah,
my
name's I'm Phil Halstead. I work with Tony at the soon-to-be DWE, Department of Water, Energy, and Environment, because apparently the water is separate from the environment now.
Okay, interesting.
I think that it's we're merging on July 1st, so I've worked with Tony for about almost 5 years now, which how I can stand that man that long and still talk to him constantly is sometimes beyond me. No, nothing but love for Tony. I guess I can go way back. I grew up in Hastings, so I'm not quite a born and bred Nebraskan. I was born in Minnesota, which is why I root for all these terrible franchises that continuously break my heart, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, grew up in Hastings and then went to Iowa State. Speaking of terrible places to go for sports acumen. But then have bumped around from Omaha to Kansas City to North Platte, and now I'm in Lincoln. Been here for about 2 years. Got my wife and a now just turned 3-year-old daughter, which is eye-opening.
It's a trip, isn't it?
to say the least. Hey, we just got potty training done, so that's a huge one.
That's milestone right there, man.
Yes.
But when the most popular phrase in our house is "No, Daddy, go away," that's we're already people say terrible twos. I think 3 is already going to be more.
I think it's more 3. I think 2 they're still cute.
Exactly.
3 is definitely.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is very, very cute, but the personality and independence and attitude are definitely shining forth. So,
we do have a question from the chat already for you, Phil.
Oh,
a member would like to know about your impending mesothelioma.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, for a year I worked in Kansas City on pending mesothelioma. Very dark. You see so many ads about it. I worked doing asbestos inspections in Kansas City for a year, which basically meant going into random abandoned buildings in Kansas City, hoping I don't get shivved by a junkie. And basically people wanting to tear down buildings and making sure there's not asbestos in it. I was telling one of my employees today about the coolest one I ever went to was this racetrack out in Kansas City, Kansas, called the Woodlands, and they had a dog track and a horse track, and no one was there. Had been abandoned for 20 years, and it was like straight out of The Walking Dead. Vines growing up, everything, water damage, and just eerie because there wasn't a single living soul within like 4 miles of me while I walked around in this place, and every sound I heard, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die." But it was an experience, but I do not miss that. I like the stability and not possible cancer causingness of what I do now, which is I manage the wastewater group. So my group makes sure that everything you flush down the toilet doesn't go directly into our lovely streams and rivers. So,
well, we appreciate that, Phil.
Absolutely.
No one wants.
It's a thankless job.
It is.
Yeah.
Very
no
much
one
so.
wants. No one wants poop in the Platte. So
People just flush and forget about it, and it's Phil's job to make sure that we don't forget about it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So
love it.
Another
So
state
every time.
Yes, right.
So every time you flush, think of me. So.
You know what? I will now.
Bold thing to
Unfortunately,
say.
it's going to be a little bit before I forget about that. Thanks for that, Phil.
Yep.
You know what would be great marketing if you had your face and you just put it like it's the urinal pad thing.
Oh,
the
yeah.
little on the toilet. Then it's always in your mind when you flush.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
Get your face on the little toilet pucks.
Good advertising campaign.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully no mesothelioma, but I appreciate the question.
Good. So what did we go to school at Iowa State for?
So it was originally meteorology, and then I realized I didn't want to take 4 semesters of physics. So I switched to environmental science and kept myself sane with a classics minor, so like ancient Greece and Rome stuff, which was pretty cool. But by far the best class and the class I learned the most from was my senior year. I took beer, wine, and spirits. Which was under the hospitality major, but it basically only seniors that weren't hospitality majors could get into it because they had enough credits to get the spots, because that class filled up quicker than any other one. So we did 6 weeks of white wine, 6 weeks of red wine, and then 6 weeks of different liquors and beer. And it's actually very cool because we went through like the history of everything, and then with every test, we had to do a tasting as well and like describe everything and where it came from and stuff like that. So plus it was a good way
to spit it out.
Some people did. I absolutely did not, and I was given good intel at the beginning because each row in this auditorium got 1 bottle per, and I was told to sit on the very end, because when you get to the end, you can finish it. So very often nice. I got out of that. I got out of that hour and a half class at least a bottle deep, heading off to top shelf night at our college bar. So it was
what a way to start the night. Wow.
Yeah. It was good. And again, learned a lot, the history, like pairings, stuff like that. The absolute worst thing I had was, it was called a Retsina. I'll never forget it. It's a Greek wine, and it basically tastes like you're drinking Pine Sol. It is absolutely atrocious. So if you ever see that and you don't,
if that's your thing.
If you don't love the idea of chugging Pine Sol, stay away from a Retsina. But yeah, I went there for five years, and the best thing I learned was in beer, wine, and spirits. So
amazing.
All right, so let's talk about these horrible fandoms you decide to choose.
Yeah.
Born with it.
What's it like to cheer for 2 just notoriously known losing programs?
So I'll start with the Vikings, because
do you wake up screaming wide right?
There's wide right. There's Bounty Gate. There's the echoing of the entirety of Teddy Bridgewater's knee in my ears. Blair Walsh. I believe that was a wide left against Seattle in the playoffs. The only thing that has ever gone on the flip side of that's the Minneapolis Miracle, which when I still had a Facebook, was my wife took a picture of me still standing staring at the television 15 minutes after that play ended, because obviously I hated the Saints for what they did.
That was the Diggs last second walk-off, right?
Yes, yep. That was the Diggs walk-off from Vikings legend Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah. And that got us to the NFC Championship game, where we promptly got steamrolled by the Eagles. In the NFC Championship games, it's either utter heartbreak like Saints in 2010, or or the Falcons very early on, one of my earliest sport memories that is seared into my brain, or it's blowouts. We lost an NFC Championship game the year the Giants went to the Super Bowl early on, and the blowout to the Eagles. So a multitude of NFC Championship games in my lifetime, but all losses.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and pick J.J. McCarthy?
See, if he falls, we'll get into this more. My crazy, I guarantee there's not a more psychotic OCD owner in this league than me. I'll give you a brief flash.
Oh my
tier
God.
list.
That was going to be a good talking point.
In Sandy. So that's a
Psycho
little piece.
prepper confession time.
Wow.
This knocks that out.
And it's in front of him right now, ready to talk about it.
Live.
I was
live
I
on
was
podcast.
I've got
so yeah.
Did anyone freeze frame that?
And the
Can we see
notebook
his draft
king.
board? Did
Well,
anyone get that?
Lucky for me, I can barely read my own handwriting. So if someone else can interpret it, more power to you. But no, there's a few Vikings I've got my eye on. Obviously Justin Jefferson's not going to happen. JJ McCarthy, if he drops far
Jordan
enough.
Addison.
Yes, Jordan Anderson I love because he's proven himself a double-digit touchdown guy every year as a number 2. Kind of
Hawk too. Hawk
yeah,
later.
Hawk.
Yeah.
Hawk's great. Honestly, Aaron Jones, I think, is a very good value further down the draft board. You can get him, I think, probably fairly late as a starting running back. So if you need a third or fourth running back who's somehow still a starter, Aaron Jones. They've got some good defenders. That's probably where I'll really end up with Vikings is grab a few defenders because I have no idea. I've played Dynasty before, never done IDP. So I have all these tier lists. I've got nothing for IDP.
IDP. I think we're all in a blender with IDP. And startup. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. It's close my eyes and click.
Is that
but
we do have another question from the field. Tony would like to know if his picks are they lined up in that binder as well.
I know.
Have you been noting Tony's picks?
Yeah, Tony talks way too candidly about who he wants.
Yes.
I remember early on. I don't know if it might have been your second podcast. You were talking about guys you like, guys you hate, and you all agreed you hated Rome Odunze.
Yep.
Tony loves Rome Odunze, so you're not gonna have to worry about that. That's Rome Odunze.
I'm not completely out. I still think the talent's there. It's just but Tony, there's a lot of muddy water there.
He can definitely fall to Tony in the second round, and he can reach and grab him by all means. Go ahead.
Yeah, that Trevor Lawrence. He is a big Trevor Lawrence fan. I don't know if it's the hair or what.
Sunshine.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't get that one, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
You don't get that one?
Remember the Titans?
Yeah, remember the
No. Being with that quarterback, like having
the love for Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
I think Trevor might be better this year.
I'd say if he doesn't do it this year,
this has got to be like
the excuses are going to be running out.
Yeah.
Right. They gave him literally the greatest athlete I have ever seen play college football. So
right.
If he can't succeed with him, it's nothing. And otherwise, I know Tony will not pick any offensive Steelers because I say there's no man Tony loves more than Bijan Robinson. The hate
Arthur Smith,
the offensive court, and again, it's connected with Bijan because he loves Bijan so much that Tony died inside every time Tyler Algier scored a touchdown for the Falcons when Arthur Smith was there. There's no one Tony has MF'd more than Arthur Smith. And I just poked and prodded at Tony because there were rumors circulating in the off season during the coaching carousel that Arthur Smith might interview for this job. I'm like, Tony, your boy's coming back. Like, bring him back to the Falcons. Like, I don't know. So if Tony's picking ahead of you and you're wanting a Steeler, you're gonna be safe.
You can wait.
Tony does not want any part of an Arthur Smith offense.
I love it.
So how about the trade? Let's talk about the trade.
Yeah.
Phil and Dion's trade. Phil, you want to give us your insight on that? What were we thinking there?
I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning. I can reference my tiers list a little bit, but without giving away too much. But really, I had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase kind of in a league of their own, and I knew I wasn't going to get them at 4. And the rest of them, not that they're not good players, like Malik Neighbors. If I had to stay there, it would have been a coin flip for me for Malik and CeeDee Lamb probably. But the fact that I was having to make that choice and not get, my guy in Justin Jefferson, kind of trading down from that 104 to get one extra pick in this draft, and then a bit of a lottery ticket next year. Dion and I were talking a bit about his 111 pick in the draft this year. And I was like, okay, what if I just kick it to next year? Because that, we know what the draft class looks like now. We don't know what the draft class is going to look like in 2026. It may be terrible. But taking a bit of lottery ticket with the odds that basically if Dion doesn't make the championship game, it'll be higher than the 11th pick next year.
Think about that.
Right. And
Dion.
Well, see, I just assume I'm going to win the championship everywhere, man.
Well, yeah,
probably be a pretty good pick.
You play to win the game. But yes, basically, in my mind, I've traded one ungodly player, Malik Neighbors. At this point, we can fill that in. I've traded Malik Neighbors for 3 starters in my mind because I'm going to get what I would think is a starting level wide receiver or running back in the 3rd round and a starting level wide receiver or running back in the 4th round. And then a first rounder next year who should be, if not start worthy, first guy off the bench worthy.
Yeah.
And that for me is worth it because I'm more of like a depth guy. And anyone, Dion mentioned that Malik Neighbors, young guy, great guy. Great player. Right now he was the 3rd wide receiver off the board. What are the odds that he ever becomes the number 2 or number 1 wide receiver in fantasy? Like, it's possible, but he's only going to jump up a few spots if that's the case. Yeah. Whereas the guys I'd be drafting, I've got some wide receivers down where Dion's picks that I've acquired are. Those guys are maybe lower now, but they have a higher, if they go up double 4 spots, they become back-end wide receiver 1s, and the difference between a Neighbors and a back-end wide receiver 1 maybe isn't that high. Was kind of my thinking of it. Focus more on depth and get a lottery ticket for next year. So
makes sense.
I like the
Dion, rebuttal, Dion.
I had to mute my children were screaming.
That's okay. We're used to it.
Yes, it's okay. I know. I'm working on that. I still need to get a door in my office, soundproof that thing. But I do like Phil's strategy, and in my defense, because I did feel like I overpaid, but I also am a trade slut, as Matt knows.
Yep.
I love trades. I was also suffering from COVID.
Here we go.
Here we go. Delirious.
Excuses come out.
Here we go.
It's the going rate for what Neighbors costs. Yeah. It basically is going to cost you 3 starters, and that's what it cost me. I don't have faith in next year's draft class. At least not in the top, like the front heavy. There's going to be guys that come out.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
I have faith in the quarterbacks for next year, but not necessarily anything else.
Right, quarterback class is going to be good.
Yeah.
If we were a super flex, that would be a completely different story.
Yes.
Yep.
But I feel it's a fair. I might have overpaid, but it's fair. And I do love my stack of 2 young wide receivers, and I can
Malik and
focus. So I got a solid 8 years here that I don't have to worry about wide receiver.
Yeah, Malik and Jamar Chase, there's no one who's gonna beat you on a given week at wide receiver for the next
solid
6-7 seasons.
Yes.
It's just where do you're gonna pick one more time at the end of the 2nd, and then not again until the 5th.
Spectator.
So
you're not picking for like a month, basically.
So exactly. Who do you fill in the flex positions with? Higher risk guys. But if you draft well, I think in the end we're both probably going to end up happy with this.
Listen, I think we've just talked. We're going to review trades that happen with draft picks. We'll put names to it and kind of see, how it plays out as the year goes by.
We'll update this as we go. I mean, it's the same canonized trade.
There's still plenty of depth in the 3rd and 4th round that I might have missed out on, but
right. And that's my hope, is that some of these guys, some second-year wide receivers, some younger running backs.
David Puckett. I want David Puckett.
Putney. David goddamn Putney.
Who the hell's David Puckett?
Because I feel like it.
Putney.
Oh, God.
That is a draft day movie reference for all of you out there that hasn't seen the movie. If you haven't, you should see it.
I was going to send the text this morning. How's your you pancake eating motherfucker? Make the trade.
So this is a family-friendly podcast, and
that's right. That's
now
right.
Now we have to mark this down as explicit.
I was very worried about.
YouTube is now demonetizing us.
I did not want to be the first one to drop an F-bomb. I'm glad someone else did it.
Usually it's me. So
I feel like
sponsors are running scared right now. They are scattering.
No, they are flooding in.
Are they?
Yes, we have sponsors flooding in.
They don't like the F word,
negotiating.
Though, I think, right?
We have to go through our arbiter, Dan, later. So that's,
all right, here. I'm here for
Is that another nickname? Like another position?
Arbiter,
it's been
Arbiter
like Coco.
Arbiter is a callback from last podcast.
I'm waiting for what it is this week, because it was Arbiter and Host last week, which is
Resident
to me is a downgrade.
Crown Royale drinker.
Okay, no, not at all. That's not even close.
Arbiter Royale.
I'm not, yeah, there you go.
Arbiter Royale.
Ooh, that sounds like an upgrade. Since we're talking about trades, I would like to get Phil's take on the Matt and Dan trade briefly.
Good.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't fully remember it. Are you gonna pull it up?
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up, Dion.
I think I have it.
So basically, I traded down from my 10 spot in the first round, and picked up a first round draft pick in this year's rookie draft.
Yes.
And then I think we traded a 3 and a 5 to make it a little bit more fair. I was he has my 3 and I got his 5. So
yep.
Yeah, you talked about like top end, top heavy rookie classes, and like this one's deep, but it's also top heavy at the same time. Right. You've got, and in this league it'll be kind of interesting who goes at 1-1 in the rookie draft, if it's Travis Hunter or it's Ashton Genty. Because a definite argument could be made for Travis Hunter going above Genty, which is
with the IDP
wild. Yes.
Yeah, with IDP.
So
with the IDP, he's much more valuable.
And so if those are the two first guys off the board, and you've got like Omari and Hampton going third, you get the fourth, right? Is that right?
Yes, I got 3 and 4.
Right. Actually. So you basically, so you've got 3 and 4. So you've guaranteed yourself, what could be the second best running back and the second best wide receiver, if that's the route you go. If you go like a Tet and an Omari and Hampton.
And Matt's over there frowning, knowing he can't have any of them.
I know. Right. I'm okay with that.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest believer in Tet, and I truly believe he probably was my pick at 4.
Right. And Bryce Young, he had a bit of a renaissance at the end of the next year. But to think that Bryce Young's magically going to become a top, like a QB1 this year is
not happening.
It's just not happening.
Nope.
Not discounting it, but I was not big on him coming out.
Not QB1.
When he came out, he was not.
Yeah, he's
the whole Tennessee offense is a little scary to me, and I
don't want any part of
it. Right, and I think that getting the young, unproven guys, like, you are taking a risk, but the guys at the end of the first are going to be very interesting, whether it's, to see how far some of these guys drop. There are some young unproven guys, throwing names out there like a Brian Thomas. I wouldn't say Brian Thomas and Brock
Bowers is not making it that far.
He's not making it that far, exactly. So it's like you've got Puka Nacua. You guys talked about that in your. I think that might have been Dion's Do Not Draft. Guy. And like Puka Nacua can win you a league. He could be the wide receiver 1 this year, absolutely, or he could play 2 games. Like there's risk in both, and the fact that you're both taking on different kinds of risk, I think makes it a pretty darn even trade. That wasn't.
I agree.
Dion talks about having to overpay for neighbors. I don't think there was an overpay here. I think. Nope. But because there's more pieces involved with yours,
Well, I know they didn't overpay because they both looked at about 1,000 trade calculators to make sure that it was even.
Okay, in my defense, I did not look at 1,000.
Spreadsheet somewhere.
Matt definitely did.
Matt for sure did, and he showed me every single one of it. I was like, "Look, it's the same. I get it."
I used one to come up with that trade, and that's what I went with.
Keep trade cut?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the basic common one, yeah.
And again, Matt, I think will surprise us if Jaden Daniels doesn't go with one of those picks, because
I will be amazed.
Jaden Daniels is not going to make it back to Matt at 3.
No. Matt continues to deny drafting Jaden Daniels. He will not say so, and I understand why. But if he does not do it at 9 or 10, I will fall down amazed on the ground. Hey, bud.
I would not be surprised.
We got a special guest.
Hello.
Hey.
What do you got? Are you you pack your bag? You walking out? It's pretty windy out there. I don't think you're gonna get far.
Moving out.
Oh, security.
They're done.
Let him get his shoe.
No, he's gone.
Here you go, buddy.
Took him so fast he lost it.
And he's out.
And he's gone.
And he's gone.
But yeah, it's time will tell with these trades, especially with those two rookie, with the rookie pick. Tet, we could be talking about Tet as a top 10 wide receiver next year, or we could be talking Tet as is he a bust? Like it's, but that's why the trades are fun. Dion talks about being a trade slut. It is not fun to just, hey, I'm going to make
fantasy football. We get to fantasize. We get to have fun.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily break the bad word. Voodoo there. I believe Dion broke trade slut there before I said.
That's a good point, Matt.
That is in the dictionary. So
that's a good point.
Okay. I might have to rewind the tape on that one.
Yeah, we might
trade
check
sloot.
that one out. So,
you misheard.
Sloot. All right, what do we got next, Dion, on the agenda?
What do we got here? Oh, well, what we didn't know through our first few podcasts, because Tony's a horrible communicator, apparently. Phil is actually a Dynasty veteran. So he's been running a Dynasty League for last 3-4 years now?
Yeah, three seasons.
Wow.
This will be our 4th. We've had a little turnover.
He can bestow some knowledge on some of us.
Yes.
I love it.
I mean, we already discussed his over-prepping over there.
Again, a crazy madman, like Charlie Day from it's Pepe Sylvia. That's not going to guarantee me anything.
I'm surprised there's not like red yarn behind you just going back and forth.
Exactly.
You can't see off screen. But no, I mentioned I did somehow string together a Dynasty championship last year, 90% because of Jaden Daniels, because the rest of my team was thin. I had like Josh Jacobs, James Conner, who both had top 10 years. It was great, but they could fall off at any moment. My number one wide receiver was like Calvin Ridley. I was starting 2 tight ends at one point. I almost guarantee this is a name that at least one person on here will not know, maybe all of you. In my championship week, I started Olamide Zacchaeus from...
Was he still in the Lions at the time?
No, he was playing for Washington, so it was technically a stop.
I remember him at Washington.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I started him, and somehow he got like 20 points championship week and was one of the reasons I won. And he now, I believe, is on the Bears. So he's like the 27th option on the Bears with how many guys they have. So I completely tore down my team sans Jaden Daniels because I was like, hey, I won the league. It buys me like 7 years of buy-ins. I'm going to tear it down and build it up from scratch. So I've got like 6 picks this year.
Paid for those 7 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I've got like 4 first rounders next year already. So it's been fun. It's guys that I went to college with, a few guys I grew up with in high school. Tony's in that league. He inherited just a terrible, terrible team. Like
perfect for a terrible, terrible human being.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm not gonna talk that bad about a veteran.
That's disappointing because the next question I had was how awful is Tony as a person and a coworker? So.
No, Tony Tony's great. He like I said, I worked with him for 3 years. I mean, him and I went to Veterans Day. We always joke around about how lousy the promotions are on Veterans Day for veterans. So this last year we went down to the Pizza Ranch on 84th there because he got to eat for free there, and we just got to eat terrible pizza and have a good time there. That's
lukewarm fried chicken.
Yeah, that's what our veterans are worth. Yeah, crappy pizza and
a $5 meal at Applebee's.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So no, and for another thing that we do, Tony's in. I run a Dungeons and Dragons group as well that Tony's in. So we see him.
Ooh, could you tell us a little about Derek?
Oh God, Derek.
Can we have someone translate Derek?
So I like to think of myself as fairly progressive minded. I'm not someone who's looking to get canceled. But basically, there's this character that they ran into the campaign that I more or less have molded after Chunk from, or not Chunk, but Sloth from the Goonies.
Okay.
Yep.
Voice included, and I killed him off, and then I realized he was so beloved by this team. I brought him back as a ghost to haunt Tony's character, who I don't know if he's shared what his character is in this campaign, but he is a cat person by the name of Sherlock Holmes.
A furry? Is he a furry?
I mean, I'm not going to read in between the lines too much on it.
Sherlock Holmes. That's good.
So, but no, we've been running the game for close on a year and a half now. It's been a ton of fun. I've been playing different versions of Dungeons and Dragons since I was like 7. So, with a 3-year-old, I don't have time for many hobbies, but it's basically fantasy football and Dungeons and Dragons, and that's about it.
Got it. Wow.
All right, we're good. Anything else, gentlemen? I got some rapid fire here.
No, let's do it. Rapid fire.
Go on.
We're gonna put Phil on the spot. If the kids
I'm
keep
ready.
screaming and need me to say it again. 5-year-old crushing it right now.
We doing awkward questions? What are we doing here? How much do you make?
Well, first one, we're gonna start. It's a slow burn. We're gonna go slow to small.
Public employees, you can look it up. It's not.
Cue them up.
It's not
All right.
impressive.
Favorite player in football, all time, real or fantasy? We're gonna start it off easy.
Okay, favorite football player of all time, real or fantasy? Randy Moss. I mean, Randy Moss
good choice.
Was a god amongst men on the field, and I forget how old I was. I was not that old, but I remember watching that game against the Packers where he mooned the Packers fan, and I was just like, yes, yeah, I hate the Packers again. Not for who they are, but for that they're more successful than us, and like it is jealousy. I can fully recognize that as my cat tries to jump into my lap.
Look at that.
Sherlock?
That is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, basically, yeah. This is Sherlock Holmes incarnate. But yeah, Randy Moss.
Cheeseburger has competition.
Cheeseburger has serious competition.
When I played what was, I guarantee it's not called this anymore, midget football, when I was in like 4th grade.
Do they still call that in baseball? Is there a midgets class? What do they call it? I used to play midgets in baseball.
I highly doubt it.
I didn't think about that.
So.
I don't think so.
Probably not the most PC anymore, but you know.
It's a little person baseball.
I picked my number.
I don't think so.
I made sure I was first in line to pick my number every year because I wanted 84 for Randy Moss. So.
And we're encouraging rapid fire questions from the people on the live stream as well.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right.
Sherlock Holmes.
Perfect.
Make a
Perfect.
suggestion.
Perfect.
Draft strategy: win now, long term, or team chaos.
So, it's.
I mean, after your trade, I feel like it's probably.
Yeah, it's future,
Showed his
but
hand
at the same time, I'm value oriented. I've got my crazy, insane tiers, and if guys fall to me, I'll take them. I don't care if they're young, old, or anything in between. If they don't work for me, I can always trade those guys. But if I'm trying to trade out of a spot, and it's just tipping my hand. If I'm trying to trade out of a spot, I don't. It's because I don't see value for myself. So for me, it's kind of it's going to be value based. So I could end up with all young guys. I could end up with, if guys like Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, and Devontae Adams all fall super
value based is what we probably should have done.
Value.
Value.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all about value, and like with our trade, I saw more value in trading down. If I see value trading up, I'll do it, but very often you have to pay a little extra to trade up. So my odds of doing that are probably pretty low.
I saw accept and decline, and I got excited. That's about all it takes for me.
Yep. Ooh, shiny. Ooh, a trade.
2025 Vikings bold prediction. So get a little spicy if you want. It could be a team. It could be the player. Give us a bold prediction for the Vikings this year.
Golly, bold prediction. I see us making the playoffs. I don't know how bold that is. JJ McCarthy's unproven, but I think that the Packers are going to take a step back. I think the Bears will be better, but not quite enough. And even though we have a tough schedule, including back-to-back Europe games in Dublin and London, which is kind of wild, but also like, hey, we don't have to travel. They get some time together as a team, and then they get their bye week. The NFC North is brutal, but I'll be more worried in 2026 because I think the Bears will be a lot better, but then do the Lions start dropping off? But if I had to give an NFC North bold prediction, I've got the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Wow. That is a bold prediction.
That is bold. After losing their offensive coordinator, that's bold.
Spicy.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's going to be back, and he is a one-man wrecking crew. And if he's back and all their offensive players are back,
yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Matt just tipped his hand.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, it's fun being in a division this tough. But the Vikings will do what they always do, and they'll make the playoffs, and they'll lose round one. Because
I was going to say your take of for bold prediction for the Vikings was not bold because Vegas has you at 9.5 over under for wins.
9.5 over under.
Barely, yeah.
Okay, then I will say if we win 10 games, JJ McCarthy's going to win Comeback Player of the Year.
Okay.
I don't know if you can win Comeback Player of the Year if you've played no snaps before it, because he can't be Rookie of the Year.
He can't be rookie, but I'll give you comeback.
So rapid fire from the crowd. Josh Palmer finishing top 3 or top 5 this year.
Yeah. Okay. So that one.
Perfect. Love
that
it.
That one with Tony. He somehow remembers me saying like Josh Palmer was going to be the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy last year. I did not say that. I'm in my mind I said top 30, but it was probably more like I thought Josh Palmer could be a top 10 wide receiver next year because I didn't think Ladd McConkey was going to be all that, and obviously I was wrong about that.
Ladd, I think, impressed everyone.
Yeah,
he did. I thought he had solid wide receiver 2 written all over him.
Maybe
talk about one of my favorite Vikings ever. I kind of thought like Adam Thielen-esque.
Yeah.
But no, it was egg on my face, and Tony has mercilessly berated me for.
I think Tony got a first-round pick for him in our other league, so that's
well. And I heard he dumped off Miles Sanders or something on you as well.
Oh yeah, I got him for a 4th round. I got to take a Penn State alum for a 4th-round pick. I'll take that every day.
So
he hasn't done anything. I haven't started him, but
I don't know is he still a Panther?
No, he's a Cowboy.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's
and then Javante.
And the rookie,
I still have
Jaden
hope.
Blue.
Yeah, they just drafted Jaden Blue.
Yep.
So
4th, 5th round, I think. 5th round.
Yeah,
I think 5th round.
pick.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys are going to be throwing the ball a lot, to be honest.
Yes.
So.
Well, they just got Pickens as well, so.
Who's a head case, but
so something I want to do.
He'll fit right in Dallas. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry,
have fun with that, Brian. Have fun with that, Ryan.
Jerry still thinks it's 1993, so.
Ryan's thrilled about that, by the way.
Yeah, well, Jerry Jones is...
They have beautiful windows, though. That's all that matters.
Oh,
yeah, they do.
Right in your
they
face.
do.
Who made that?
Jerry Jones.
Thing I've ever seen.
Jerry World.
Jerry World.
All right, spreadsheet master. That's my new position for you this podcast.
There you go.
Oh, got it.
So
got
anytime we have a guest, I want to get these 3 things for the coming season or in it. MVP.
Write this down.
I got it. But fantasy MVP for 2025. If you had to call a shot now, who you got?
Fantasy MVP for 2025. I think, and this leans on my Lions prediction. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will finish as the wide receiver 1.
Wow.
The wide receiver 1 overall.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, because he was honestly someone I thought about it for, but I'm like, that's too high.
Yeah.
So I think whoever ends up with Amon-Ra, whoever ends up with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first round this year is going to get the wide receiver 1 in fantasy. So he'd be I'd call it my MVP.
Someone around here that might like that.
Could
be.
All right, fantasy bust 2025.
Well, looking at my insane tier list and finding guys. Yeah. Well,
Malik Neighbors.
Finding.
That's what I was gonna say.
Finding guys who fell. I think that in terms of a bust, I'm really going to go out on a limb here, and this is based on draft position, not on how he's actually going to do. I think based on draft position, Brock Bowers will be a bust.
Ooh.
Because to get that.
But what are we going to qualify as a bust? Let's say
he doesn't
outside of top 3.
Yes, I think.
Outside of top 3, top.
I think that.
So you're thinking he's the next like Kyle Pitts.
Well, not even that.
He's not. That's not what he's saying.
But I think. I think I saw something like Trey McBride finished just behind Bowers in the tight end rankings.
Yep.
But Trey McBride only scored 2 touchdowns all year, and Bowers had like 12 or whatever. So I think Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, and then one of.
And they brought in Jack Besh. We have a new wide receiver 1 in Raiderland.
A new wide receiver. You've got
Pete, you've got Pete.
Well, you've got Pete Carroll, who loves running the ball. In those Pete Carroll offenses, who was your wide receiver 1? Yeah. You know, Doug.
DK.
Well, at the end, but Doug before that, Doug Baldwin and just nobody. Because DK wasn't on that Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
So I think that as a bust, Brock Bowers finishing, like you said, outside of the top 3. Is something that I could see because of there is tight end talent behind him. Like George Kittle can be tight end 1 any year he wants because
I think this year is a good year.
Yeah, they got rid of Debo. Ayuk's coming off the big injury. Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if George Kittle isn't the number 1 or number 2 tight end in fantasy. So it's not going to take that many guys doing well and Bowers regressing even a little bit to end up the 4th or 5th tight end, which is still great, but not worth what
not where he was.
And with
not worthy of his value.
He's going to be drafted at as like a top 7 pick in this startup.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
He would be my bust.
Makes sense.
Digital Duffer, if you're hearing that, Brock Bowers predicted to bust. Someone want to tell he?
Yeah,
you got 11 hours to go. So
yeah, you gotta get Heath moving.
Right. Like sleeper of 2025.
Oh, here we go.
Who's the deep cut?
Sleeper 2025. This one's, and I'm saying this hoping this doesn't bite me in the butt. Chris Olave. He's coming off concussions, which people are all worried. Oh, he's going to retire. His concussions weren't any worse than Tua's, and because Tua was doing the weird finger stuff and all that stuff. These guys want to play football. Yeah.
I think Olave solid top 5 wide receiver in the league this year.
I just
top 5.
I just traded for him so I mentioned the league that I tore everything down. We're a 14-team league. I traded 113 and 2-6 for Chris Olave and 211.
Wow. You got to pick on top of it even. I like that a lot.
Olave.
Yeah, so, exactly. Like he could medically retire from the NFL, but there's a better chance that he ends up a top 15 wide receiver because he's still 24, I think.
Yeah.
Like he's still on his rookie contract.
Yep.
And we're talking values. The two things that makes 24. A guy valuable, the two guys who make
for one more month.
Yeah. Two things that makes a player valuable is draft capital, like Genty getting picked that high, or if they have a really rich contract, and that's going to insulate it. And he was a first-round pick, and I think he's going to get a big contract. And when you got a guy going in week 1 who's probably going to be Tyler Shuck throwing.
I was just going to ask, is the retirement of Carr
I think it honestly makes it better because, you look at Neighbors last year. He was the only guy we're throwing to in New York. The only guy we're throwing to, unless I don't know if anyone's a big Rashid Shaheed fan in this room.
There's some out there, but they're a rare breed.
Yeah. But Chris Olave is going to get hundreds of targets, and so if I can get him as if I could somehow get him as my third wide receiver, or even my second, depending on how the draft goes, I'd be over the moon because I think
you got 4 picks very closely, so
right. So I'd say that's my sleeper for hopping into the top tier wide receivers again.
All right, are you ready for the fun that I have made? Are you familiar with Keep Trade Cut?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to put you on the hot seat here.
Love it.
Vikings players in their prime. Keep Trade Cut. Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson, Justin Jefferson.
Oh.
All right. It's already obvious. Keep Randy Moss. And could you argue when was his prime as a Viking or was his prime as a Patriot?
He was still prime in Vikings time.
I think he was too. I think it was too. It's just he had Dante Culpepper instead of Tom Brady when Dante Culpepper's on your Mount Rushmore of your team's quarterbacks, you're it's Fran Tarkington who didn't pass the ball at all. You've got Dante Culpepper, Randall Cunningham, Brett Favre. And so it's not going to take that much for JJ McCarthy to get on that list. It isn't. No. So I think that I could trade Justin Jefferson, which because again, maybe a value thing. Right now he's at worst the wide receiver 2. So you could get a lot for him, and I guess I'll cut Adrian Peterson because I won't be using a switch on my daughter anytime soon. So maybe for moral reasons.
I guess I was thinking clearly in football terms, but
yes, but
that's in my mind.
That's not process.
That's in my mind.
Wow,
fair enough.
Yeah. So I'll keep. It's the reason I'm not going to be drafting, no matter how, even if he has a bounce back year. I'm not going to be drafting Tyreek Hill. I don't need the
All right,
negative.
22nd round, Phil's on the clock. Hill's still there. What does he do?
Let's find someone that would be in the tier down there. I'd take. You know who I would take in the 22nd round over Tyreek Hill? I would take Joshua Palmer in the 22nd round.
There it is.
There he is.
Callback.
There he is, Tony.
Love it. Bring it back.
All right. Next keep trade cut.
Okay.
Greatest Iowa State football moments. 5 straight Cyhawk wins between 98 and 02.
Okay.
The 24 season with the record 11 wins and the postseason rank of 15. Mm-hmm. Or beating Nebraska 9-7 in 09 after 8 Husker turnovers.
We had
So I became,
you had to bring it up.
I became a Cyclone fan that year.
Wow!
I grew up a Husker fan, and then I went to Iowa State. I was in the marching band, so I went to every home game. But
what did you play? We got to throw that
trombone.
in there.
I played trombone. There we go. Yeah. So that 9-7 game was it was a fever dream. It absolutely was. But I'm actually going to go. It
felt like it watching it in Fort Leonard Wood.
Off the board.
It felt like a fever dream watching that guy.
I'm going off the board for Cyclones moments, and it was 2011. The number 2 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys came in with 55-year-old Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackmon, who were both Heisman candidates at the time. We were like 28.5-point underdogs. We were 4-6. Thursday night game, only game on. We were down early 28-7 or something like that. And we come back and we win in double overtime. Fans rush the field. I am sobbing playing the fight song for the 10th time in a row.
That is passion.
That's awesome.
And it's something that, I grew up a Husker fan. Some of my earliest memories are them just dominating everyone. And Husker
including
fans,
Iowa State.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and that was a given, except for like 1 year with Seneca Wallace.
Right.
Because when we beat Nebraska 9-7, it was the first time Cyclones had won in Lincoln since like the 70s.
Right.
But Nebraska, maybe now that they've been, again, in a weird way, since I've become a fan of Iowa State, you could argue Iowa State football's been better than Nebraska football.
Oh, definitely.
Is wild to even.
Yep.
As a Penn State
wild
fan,
to
I don't
even
know if I can agree.
Yeah. You mean Penn State?
I agree with you as a Husker fan.
Definitely going to win the championship next year. That's what all the odds are saying.
Don't set that bar high, and that makes me feel bad later.
Trust in James, big game James Franklin.
All right,
but anyway, going back to the point.
No, we kind of segued. I heard a name that segued into another question. Keep trade cut. ISU greats, because you have so many.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, Seneca Wallace.
So even though Seneca Wallace was before I was a fan, he was so good
on Madden though. He's like a cheat code. I remember that.
The absolute, when I talk to my Iowa State friends, because that was Seneca Wallace was their Eric Crouch or even Tommy Frazier. Yep. He was their guy. And, Brock Purdy was like a 4-year starter at Iowa State. He was amazing. He got us to our first conference championship game in that weird COVID season. We lost to Oklahoma. And it was our first conference championship game since, I believe, before World War I ended. When we were in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, which is the last time we won a conference title, was I believe 1914 is the year.
Been a few years.
Been a minute. Breece Hall was amazing. He's fun to watch now. For his sake, I hope the Jets let him walk in free agency next year and he goes to a franchise.
Rumors of a trade this year.
Yeah, if the Jets suck at the beginning of this year and they trade him to whether it's a Dallas or just anywhere but the Jets. But like the Jets just like grab Iowa State Cyclones, which I guess now the Texans do too. They grab 2 Iowa State wide receivers.
2 this year. Yes.
Solid picks too.
But I will say for my friends, I have to say Seneca Wallace, with a special shout out to Troy Davis.
Oh yes, Troy Davis.
The only running back in college
Hakeem Butler.
Oh, Hakeem Butler. That man. Oh my God.
Was a stud.
He was like Calvin Johnson, except for he wasn't like talented. Like he looked, he had all the measurables, but he was a head case. But Troy Davis, only college football running back to rush for 2,000 yards twice.
Yeah.
And the best he ever did in the Heisman voting was like 8th. Absolute travesty.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's with a special shout out to Troy Davis. So.
Yep.
All right. I added this last one because you said you minored in Greek history.
Yeah, Greek and Roman.
Okay. Keep, trade, cut. These Greek philosophers: Aristotle, Socrates, Diogenes. And I feel like there's a clear favorite.
I mean, Socrates.
Ooh.
Oh, dude, we got a pick. I heard a noise.
We have a pick.
We got a pick.
We have a pick.
Saquon
Barkley
coming in.
Oh,
Heath is going for W's, and he's not stopping. Apparently,
if this could pay off,
big time.
This could pay off because there's no doubt Saquon.
You got 2-3 years, Heath.
Yeah.
You gotta get on your horse with that pick.
Yeah, he's not going to be taking any shots in the dark rookies. So no, I don't remember if it was Socrates or Aristotle who got. I think it might have been Socrates that got assassinated, like while he was just like out for a walk because of his views. But I respect the martyrs of ancient Greece and Rome. Julius Caesar being the most prominent of those, but. I mean, half of the emperors got killed anyway back in that day. Like, being an emperor was, like, outside of maybe being a Cleveland Browns quarterback, the turnover for emperor was ungodly high. So,
well said.
Well, I included Diogenes selfishly because he's my favorite as the founder of cynicism. And that is...
Oh, okay, that tracks. Okay, from the little I've been told. I don't know if Diogenes would have been a trade salute as well, but I imagine in
probably
fantasy, not. In fantasy Gladiator,
I don't think he probably played.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, okay, all right.
Well, gentlemen, you guys got any?
I got nothing.
Classic Matt, just here for the ride.
Well, he's already dreaming of Jaden Daniels already.
He is. It's getting so close. Down. He's drooling right now.
If I get CD and Jaden,
CD is. I don't think CD's making him to you, Matt.
I don't think CD will make it to me.
CD's not making him to you. But you can dream.
Let me see if we can more pick for. I'm not sure how Max pay attention. I know did he say he had to work this weekend?
He just texted me. What did he say?
Ooh,
I texted Heath and told him he's on the clock, no rush.
No rush.
Yep.
Hurry up, Heath.
No rush. Hurry the hell up.
I know. It was a little subtle, but I texted Mac pretty much the same thing. Draft has started. And Mac said, 12 hours to pick is slightly ridiculous. I was like,
you don't need the full 12 hours.
I know. That's what I just told him. I go, the clock stops at night, and you can keep picking if you want.
Yeah, I just hope
just because it's a lot.
Yeah, I hope to be drafting by June. So
yeah, same. Yeah,
we'll be done.
But
we're impatient enough.
I'll be pushing people.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we appreciate Phil coming on. This has been fun. And,
absolutely.
I encourage other owners. Yes, I encourage other owners to come on and don't let the questions that we ask Phil scare you.
Yeah.
Nothing to be scared about. We're here to have fun.
And
I doubt anyone had as hot of Joshua Palmer takes as I did. So
no, not at all. Yeah.
But I appreciate.
I just
you guys
can't wait for the
me.
moment Tony comes on and Phil's in the chat for questions. This would be a great episode.
It's on.
Yeah, it'll be a bloodbath for him.
So we'll see how scared Tony is by how quickly he reaches out and asks to be on the podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Tony's on the clock again.
What?
No. For this.
Oh, okay. I was like, he's made it
figuratively.
There you go.
I get how that.
We have a pick.
How that could come across.
We have a pick.
I like
I get
that.
Gibbs off the clock.
Jameer Gibbs.
Ooh, that's
Gibbs
one
has been
more.
picked.
We did
If Brock
there's one more
here,
pick.
I know
Brock.
Bobby's picking.
Man.
Do you?
I do.
Oh man.
Okay.
You get CD that late. That is wild.
I would I'd love to come back on. You're talking about talking the trades afterward.
Definitely.
Few weeks down the road, if the guests start drying up and they're scared of the grilling, I'd love to come back on and talk the trade and talk the draft and see how I'll show you the aftermath of my list.
You should send your resume to Dan. We were looking at a replacement for Matt anyways.
Oh, there he goes. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Matt.
I mean, I married a ginger, so it's
ginger.
Oh,
I thought they
lover.
were supposed to start fizzling out. Everyone finds them disgusting. I thought.
No.
No.
We will rise.
Hey, no, she's smarter than I am and puts up with my ridiculous. I mean, if she could put up with me doing shit like this, I think she's worth.
She's an angel.
And CD is gone.
Yeah, at the end of the month, it'll be 8 years for us. So the fact that she's
very nice,
tolerated.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
The fact that she's tolerated me screaming at my TV the next time that Jordan Addison runs the wrong route, or like for every Kirk Cousins strip sack that got taken back for a touchdown. I've got to be doing something right outside of that because I know I'm very, very wrong in the moment. So,
well, mine understands that when I'm watching a Chiefs game, but she doesn't understand when I'm watching a completely different game when it's fantasy I'm thinking about and I'm pissed off, right? So that's when she's like, "Wait, why do you care about the freaking Bears and Jaguars?" I'm like, "Because
because I have the Jaguars' third wide receiver as my flex." And
Sundays are my day. That is, you guys have the TV for the rest of the week. I don't say anything. Sundays are my day. We're watching Red Zone, and I'm gonna talk to the TV all day.
A lot.
Yeah, it will be my best friend and my only friend. So, all right.
All right. Well, it's been great.
Bobby,
thank you so much.
You're on the clock if you're paying
Bobby's
attention.
on the clock. He's going to make Matt wait a long time.
Bobby would be the one to wait till the pause at 9 o'clock and make us all be here hostage-like. So
he's that type of guy. He might.
Jaden Daniels incoming to break Matt's heart.
Oh, my God. He took
Josh Allen.
Allen.
I should have asked the Daniels. That would have been so much funnier. Damn.
Right,
okay.
Our first quarterback's off the board.
We have to stay on this podcast right now.
We got 2 picks. We got 2 picks.
Matt.
Ooh.
There he is.
Okay, we talked
about it. I feel like that was a good one.
Amon-Ra was definitely my number one that I wanted.
No, you want
and
you already said it.
Jaden. You want Jaden. You will not get Jaden.
You know you want to do
pick him right here.
You're not going to get him if you don't get him.
I'm not picking Jaden.
You copycat.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm impressed, Matt. I'm impressed.
That is
you
what I
fought
call
off the
self-control.
fanhood value.
That's self-control.
Exactly.
I want Jaden, believe me, but knowing the history of Washington QBs, I don't want Jaden for that.
Robert Griffin III.
I was going to say I'd be more scared of the field.
I will never remember that knee going backwards. So that is nothing that will ever leave.
Again, quarterbacks and knees. Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, that's what scares me with running quarterbacks. I'm hesitant.
And he doesn't know how to slide. He just gets annihilated all the time. And I'm like, all right. Well, hey, again, self-control.
Yeah.
Bravo,
Matt.
Bravo.
Very impressed, Matt. Nice job.
And another great episode, you classy degenerates.
Amon Ra and Brian Thomas are going to be top 5, top 10 in my mind this year. So
there you go.
Solid picks. Boring picks.
Shadow Ridge is on the clock as we are signing off.
Yep.
I just want to throw in his nickname one more time.
Shadow Ridge.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Been great.
All right. Thanks.
See ya.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.